Welcome back, fellow shop rats. It's hard to believe that this episode that I'm filming today is the last Talk About It Tuesday for the month of October. And I want to do a trip wrap up on our big epic trip that we took to northern Michigan to bring the 26 Oakland back to the family homestead, I should say, and back to the building where it was originally purchased and all of that stuff. Episodes that you have just recently seen here on the channel. We want to talk about our Discovery trailer that we got from Great Lakes Trailers, and we want to talk about our 2012 Hemi pickup. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about for a Talk About It Tuesday. So stick around, don't go away. We're going to talk.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Cars Shop.
We traveled approximately 1,200 miles in 5 days. We put about 22 to 24 hours of road time in with the Hemi truck pulling this trailer. And there were episodes on the channel preparing the trailer to go. It's a brand new trailer, but we had to do some modifications to get the load levelers on and some other things. But I want to talk about the trailer, and then we're going to talk about the truck. As far as the trailer goes, this is a 24-foot extra tall trailer, and I'm very glad that it has a little V front and that slant top. We had some headwind, and that created some issues, not terrible issues, but the trailer pulls great with the load levelers on there. It eliminated all of that sway we've experienced with it before. Can't say enough. The brakes worked really well on the trailer. The trailer did everything that we asked it to do. It kept the Oakland contained and all of our other crap, and it went way up north and came way back down here to the Our Place Homestead, the home of the MKS YouTube channel. The truck, well, the truck did okay, don't get me wrong, but there were a couple issues, and I want to talk about those. First of all, I really can't say enough good about this 5.7 liter Hemi. Tons of power, no issues there. It does like its gas.
It sucks.
We spent about $800 in gas on the trip. A couple things we discovered. The first time we pulled that trailer any distance, but I realized that even the travel trailer, we've not pulled more than like 4 hours at a time with that. And this was, of course, an 11-hour trip. So there was definitely some things we learned, especially when we got up in northern Michigan, when we were dealing with a lot more hills.
And they weren't alive.
And we were also dealing with a pretty good headwind coming at us. The engine was fine. The transmission leaves a little bit to be desired. And when we pulled the open car trailer, as I thought back on it, we did experience similar issues with the open car trailer, but it didn't have as much wind resistance as that big old cracker box of a trailer that we've got there. And, well, let's just say that we're going to be exploring some options on reprogramming that transmission. One of the biggest things I learned, this has the 6-speed automatic transmission in it. And one of the things that I didn't know about this was it has the manual shift option to be able to select the gear that you want, which I kept trying to do, but the transmission wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. I know how to drive a truck and a trailer, and sometimes just manually putting it in the gear you want can get things done. But what would happen with this thing is it would go, we'd be going along at, let's say, 60 miles an hour, and we come to a hill, and of course the speed would stop dropping down, and you'd start stepping on a little bit, and it would go from like 2,500 to 3,500 RPM, just woo, wah! And it was skipping 2 gears when it was doing that. And so what I was trying to do was manually shift it just down 1, because I knew the motor had enough power to pull it, but it wouldn't work. What I discovered after we got there, I got on the Google thing and did some checking, is the way this transmission works, it doesn't let you drive the vehicle the way you want. When you manually select a gear, in this transmission, the transmission controller looks at what the driver is requesting and makes a decision on whether or not that it really is what the driver wants, and it's going to do whatever the hell it wants to do on its own anyway. And I'm sorry, but that is not acceptable to me. We're going to be fixing that. I'm sure there are ways to reprogram that. I'm already looking at a chip that's going to change that. Well, there'll be more coming on that. The other thing, because of all of that shift busyness and the gearing and other things with this, we were only pulling between 5 and 6 miles to the gallon that whole trip. We did learn that if we put some mid-grade fuel in it, it actually performed better. The gas mileage came up, and we had a little bit more power, which lends me to believe that if we went ahead and put premium in it, especially no ethanol, because ethanol is a very slow burning fuel, it doesn't give you a lot of power, probably would be even better. So I'm going to play with that for future trips. But that stuff's a lot more expensive when you're going from, our average gas price was $3.79 for standard 10% ethanol unleaded, and I think premium was running around $5 a gallon ish, $4.80 to $5. So that's a significant cost increase we need to definitely consider. I believe the mid grade was $4.29 to $4.39 a gallon. I can't even believe I'm saying those prices. This is just completely unnecessary and out of control. And hopefully somebody does something about it soon, because we're being sold a line of. Well, there'll be more coming on that as we explore our options. I would bet that there is a programming thing we can change in the aftermarket that we can apply to that transmission controller to make it shift into gear that I'm telling it to shift in when I want it to, the way I want to. We'll see. I've looked at some of the units that go right on the dash, and you have full programmable control. They're bloody expensive, but it might be worth it. Or I'm looking at a less expensive unit that just plugs right into the OBD2 connector, and it gives you 60 more horsepower and about 5 miles to the gallon on average more with the stage 3 chip that you can put in it. This thing does have a little chip in it, but not like that, and it's not in that place. I believe this had an aftermarket computer put in it. So we need to look at that also. But overall, the truck performed great. I mean, I really can't complain. It's a super comfortable ride. It's got 160,000 miles on it now. We had no issues with it at all, except I was driving it in four-wheel drive one day because where we had parked the trailer, it was a bit soft and the truck didn't feel exactly right. Thought something was wrong with the transmission, but no, it was the nut behind the wheel. Forgot to, turn off the four-wheel drive. The Oakland itself performed flawlessly the whole weekend. We had a very special family time. We got together with my aunt and my uncle and my dad. So this was their dad's car, their grandpa's car, and we all got together and just celebrated and went for rides. And my uncle got to drive it, and it was pretty special, pretty exciting time. I didn't film any of that. Really felt I wanted to keep that just private, and but I did share everything from the next day. We took it back to the Harder's Auto Parts, which is in the video, and which is where it was purchased brand new in 1926. Great grandpa bought it there. It was called McClure Motors. You can see that episode. We took it to the Calumet Theater. We took it out to the cemetery and had photo shoots with both great grandpa's grave and my grandpa's grave, as well as my aunt reminding me that my great great grandpa was buried there also. So that led to some pretty interesting discussions about family that went back one more generation that I didn't remember about, and just that my great grandfather came here from Cornwall when he was 5 years old, and about the family house and all kind of stuff that you probably don't really care anything about. But the Oakland really did well. We've got a ton of work to do to it. Dad was actually going to come out yesterday. It was the first Saturday back after our trip and work on it. And I said, I'm just burned out. I'm burned out on the Oakland. I'm burned out on. We took a trip to Missouri a couple weeks right before we did this trip. So I spent over a period of a few weeks, like 50 hours driving, and I just needed a break. Whenever we make trips like this, I generally am the one who does all of the driving, and that's partly because I'm just so used to driving rigs like this. Plus, like when Becky and I went down to Missouri to visit our daughter and son-in-law, she's on vacation from work. My work schedule is a lot more flexible than hers, so I try to take all the driving on so that she can be more relaxed. Plus, I just don't relax well when I'm sitting in the passenger seat.
Maybe I have some control issues. I don't know.
And the same thing, Dad and his wife, he's going to be 80 here real soon, and he can handle it. He's done it, but again, something that I can do. He can relax, and not a problem for me to drive 11, 12 hours, up to 14, 15 hours at a time with a rig like this. I'm used to it. So, but I was feeling it this past week. I really haven't gotten a lot accomplished here in the shop. I did sell some parts today, and those are going to be shipped out tomorrow. I'm slowly going through what I have. I'm seeing what people online are looking for, and I'm weeding out some of the extra stuff so that I can generate some cash and actually liquidate some space as well. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to kind of put out there what I have so people can be aware of what I have, but it's complicated because of pricing and availability. Like this was a 3-position wiper switch for a Dart Duster. And my general rule of thumb on stuff like that is 50% of new. Well, they don't make them at all. And so, we came up with a price. He was happy with it, and that'll ship out tomorrow. Anyway, that's not the point. The point was that after the trip, I just really have not felt like doing a whole heck of a lot. I think the only actual hands-on project that I've done this past week was welding the vise, which you saw might have been just a couple days ago. I don't remember when that one's airing, but yeah. So anyway, if you haven't seen the videos from the epic trip to Calumet, Michigan with the Oakland, check it out. There's some cool stuff. The day at the cemetery, I keep coming back to that because it was just an extremely emotional day, especially that part. It was very powerful, very meaningful, and just pretty cool. So be sure to check that out. And again, I'll have more coming on the truck as I make decisions on what I'm doing. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. I think one thing that did affect the gas mileage, I had a check engine light come on somewhere in the middle of that trip, and I felt like the gas mileage kind of dipped off a little bit. I think because it was a hard fault. There's a little eco light that comes on when you're getting the super gas mileage, 20 miles to the gallon or so with that truck. It normally gets 15 to 17 without a trailer. And even not pulling the trailer, that little eco light was never coming on once that check engine light came on. So I did go ahead, and I'm going to take you through how to use that in another episode here soon. I bought myself a little OBD2 diagnostic thing for reading and clearing codes and checking basic stuff in vehicles, anything that has an OBD2 connector. OBD2 is onboard diagnostics. It's a universal interface for pretty much every make of car. It was kind of an industry standard that the SAE came out with quite a while ago now. Anyway, so that's what all that is. So I do have that, and I cleared those. It was a evaporative emissions code that had something to do with there was a slight leak in the evap system. And it was a hard fault. You couldn't reset it by disconnecting the battery or anything. So I cleared that code out. That light's been out now for about 3 days. The gas mileage is back. The eco light is coming back on. So that may have had some bearing on that. I need to talk to my good friend Mike. That's my mechanic. And I want to get his take on this. I don't expect it to be great on gas, but that was just a bit ridiculous. And I don't think it was just the trailer's fault. We've pulled our travel trailer quite a ways, and I expect 6 or 7 miles to the gallon. But when you're doing 5 or 6, something definitely wasn't right there. So anyway, it was a great trip. I appreciate you just joining in for this talk about it, and really looking forward to all the things I want to share with you coming in November. So watch for that starting this coming Friday. Oh, and if you haven't seen, it hasn't aired yet as I'm filming, but it's coming this Saturday. The movie on the Golden Mullet. So go back and find that. There's a 2-hour episode on the Golden Mullet, which is that car right there. Will it run and drive after 40 years? All right, that's going to do it for this one. Like, share, subscribe, and as always around here, don't forget one very important thing.
It is important. Don't drop your microphone.
Rock!